right, so for more on what we can expect as Donald Trump prepares to take office in January, let's speak now with Ylan Mui, the managing director with the Penta Group, and she joins us from Washington, D.C. this hour. Thank you so much for joining us, Ylan. Firstly, I want to get your reaction to how the Trump Cabinet 2.0 is shaping up right now. I mean, does this lineup reflect the choice that Americans made at the ballot box?
Well, I think they voted for President Trump because they were looking for change. It was a decisive change election, and certainly President Trump is already delivering on that just 8 days after he was elected into office. So he is proving that he's not afraid to move fast and break things. And what we're seeing from him so far is that he's picking a mix of loyalists, like a Tulsi Gabbard, as well as a mix of some institutionalists, like a Marco Rubio, someone that he actually faced as a rival when he was first campaigning for president back in 2016. So he is willing to look past grievances that were historical and understand where folks are now. And are they willing to really support this mash of populism, this mash of America first, these new policies that he's putting forward that the American people feel can take America in a different direction.
I want to ask you about his latest pick and also some of the more controversial names. Matt Gaetz, obviously, for Attorney General. Some are suggesting that his immediate focus is domestic and possibly the start of a purge. Others are saying, what do you expect? I mean, how do you see it?
Unfortunately, you broke up just for a minute there, but I think that you were asking about Representative Matt Gaetz, who President Trump has nominated or intends to nominate to be his attorney general. Now, Matt Gaetz has been a controversial figure in the House for many years. He was investigated by the Department of Justice for potential child sex trafficking. Important to note that he was never charged with any crime, but he remains under investigation in the House for a variety of ethics violations. And already what we're hearing from Republicans on Capitol Hill is that they're unsure about whether he's the right person for this particular job. Republicans look like they'll have a roughly 3-seat majority in the House. And so it's still going to be important to appeal to folks like Lisa Murkowski and Susan Collins and ensure that they're on board in order to get any of his picks confirmed through the Senate. So Matt Gaetz is someone who may not actually make it through. We're hearing reservations, but certainly we'll have to see. Again, it's only been 1 week since the election had happened, and already we've seen an entire slate of nominees announced. This is very different from the tack that President Trump took during his first term in office, when he held these sort of long, drawn-out auditions for his cabinet positions. This time, it's clearer he's had 4 years to plan, and he wants to come in and start taking action.
Very, very quickly as well, does it look to you like this is the start of a purge, or is it, as some of his allies are saying, look, what do you expect? He made this promise and he's delivering?
I think that there will be a purge happening, and I think that many federal workers, especially in the Washington, D.C. area, are preparing for major disruptions to the federal bureaucracy.
All right. So, Ylan, can an administration built on loyalty and personal fealty function effectively? Some are arguing that such a system may risk, undermining checks and balance and potentially leading to authoritarianism.
Democrats tried to make the argument during this campaign that democracy was on the ballot. And quite frankly, American voters didn't buy it. What American voters have been focused on is on the economy and inflation, prices, higher prices, that's still sticky in their minds. So I think that ultimately what President Trump is going to be judged on, by the voters at least, will be on, is the economy stronger? Did he create jobs? What does the stock market look like? Do the tax cuts that he's promised actually come through? That is one of the biggest legislative battles that he will be facing come in 2025, that he will need Congress to work with him in order to pass. What happens with the tariffs? Does he actually impose them? And will they cause the economic damage that many fear? I think those are the questions by which voters will ultimately judge him by over these next 4 years.
Ylan, I want to focus on the few global roles that have been named so far. There is a view that Trump actually started out well. Susie Wiles as Chief of Staff, Marco Rubio. We just talked about him, but he's since gone on to pick some interesting, shall we call them that, names for important global roles. And I guess the question is, how big of a risk is this? Possibly because we are talking about people who may not have the knowledge, the in-depth skills to deal with issues like China, like Russia and the Middle East and trade, for example.
I think the reality here is that President Trump is the one who is going to be setting the agenda, and that he will be the one who is the primary spokesperson for the Oval Office and for his administration. I can remember many times during the first Trump administration when his cabinet secretaries or other prominent officials would pronounce a policy only to see a tweet come out within a matter of minutes or even hours that is exactly in the opposite direction of what they just announced. So ultimately, President Trump is the one who's going to be calling the shots here. And I think that the rest of the world is bracing for that upheaval that they saw the first time around. We're already seeing this dynamic start to shift at the COP29 summit, where you see a change in perspective amongst companies in terms of embracing the climate transition and the need for clean energy. So you're already seeing folks start to take a slightly different posture even before he's come into office, because they know very clearly where he stands on policies, and they know that the last person who speaks to him is the one who is going to have the greatest influence. And so President Trump really is the one who's going to be calling the shots, and his cabinet secretaries and other advisors are all going to be jockeying for position in order to get him to make that final decision.
Ylan, there's been a lot of questions about this Department of Government of Efficiency. I mean, what does it look like to you? I mean, what sort of policies, reforms do you expect under Musk and Ramaswamy? Do you think the two will actually get along?
So what we expect to see out of them is significant cuts. They have until July 6th of 2026, July 4th of 2026, in order to come forth with some sort of plan in order to enact sweeping changes throughout the federal bureaucracy, whether that is in the term of disclosures, whether that's in the term of actually closing down some agencies, whether that's in terms of firing federal workers. All of those things right now appear to be on the table. Now, an outside commission, which is what this actually is, has limited ability to enact those changes within Congress. Congress has the power of the purse. They control the budgets. They control the spending. And so ultimately, it's up to the legislators on Capitol Hill whether or not any of the recommendations that they put forth are actually carried through. But I think what you're going to be seeing is a change in perspective, a change in rhetoric, and certainly already from what I'm hearing just within Washington, a fear among federal workers that the mission that they might have been devoting their lives to as public servants might now be in question.
All right, Ylan, appreciate your expertise and your insight this morning. Ylan Mui, Managing Director with the Penta Group. Thank you.